Welcome to the Billionaire LifeStyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with Emmett Muckles. You remember I said you're all billionaires, and I want you guys to really understand this because it's really so important for you, particularly at this time in your life, in this planet, where we are, for you to really love yourself. And the reason, and I'm going to pull out of sacred doctrine, because one of the laws of the universe is to love thy neighbor as you love yourself. And you really have to break that down, and you have to love yourself first, because if you don't love yourself, then you cannot love your neighbor. But once you get to that point, once you begin to hone in that you are valuable and that you are loved, all you have to do is look in the mirror and see what a special creature you are and love thyself. Once you begin there, then it can spread and we can live in the utopia. So I've got my message out for the day that I do with every podcast, but I have a super special guest. I mean, this woman is extraordinarily special in my timeline on this planet. And I recently had, I was kind of voyeuristic, and I was watching her on Instagram, and I saw that she was living out this passion of hers. And her name is Shawn Dawson. And I saw that she was heavily into fitness. Now, the reason I really want to speak with her, not only for my sake, but for your sake, is because women's fitness fascinates me, because women's physiology is slightly different than a man's physiology. And some of the, and when it gets down to the testosterone, when it gets down to the, I can't think of it, estrogen levels, you know, there's a fine balance that you have to keep, and a whole host of things. But physical fitness is the key to, is the fountain of youth. A really old guy told me that when I was in the gym one day. So what's up, Shawn?
Hey, how are you?
So tell me how you, I remember when, you know, we go back a long time. Like really, I mean, back to like when we were Prince fanatics back in the day. And I remember you kind of started on a fitness journey then, but you know, like everybody else, people get into the gym and then they forget about it. But you took it to a whole different level. So how did this transpire?
Well, since we're going to go way back, you know, my sister, she got a job at a fitness place just for women. So she made me go there and be in her aerobics classes.
Okay.
So that's what started me in exercising and working out. Because as we both know, I used to like to eat a lot.
You look fine though.
And I have a really bad sweet tooth. So ever since then, I've never walked away from working out. I've maintained it. I started when I was 15. So I've stayed with it ever since.
But you've recently, I don't know if it's recent, but I've noticed that I've seen you working out to a level where you're competing. And what's the different levels of competition that you're involved in?
I started out, when I first started out, it was in 2000, and all they offered for women was the fitness.
Yeah.
When you competed in fitness, you had to do the gymnastics, and there was 2 rounds of the physique. So that was really difficult for me because I did not have gymnastics or dance background.
Yeah.
So I was competing with women who have been in gymnastics and dance their entire life. And then the NPC brought on the figure. So then I switched over to figure. And I don't know if you know this, but in 2005, I was diagnosed with leukemia. So prior to that, the doctor said I had it about 2 years prior. So I could never figure out why I was suffering from fatigue and things of that sort, which kind of hindered my working out and developing to the level that I needed to.
Yeah.
So I stepped away. So I didn't compete up until 2009 again, which that's when they introduced the bikini.
So first of all, what is MPC? You said NPC introduced
The NPC is the National Physique Committee,
NPC.
which is
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just didn't understand what was said.
Oh, that's fine. It's like, so there's the IFBB, which is the like Arnold Schwarzenegger and all of them, which would be professionals. So in order to become a professional, say bikini or fitness or bodybuilder, you start off with the NPC.
Okay.
So then you have to qualify to compete at nationals in order to win your pro card.
So is that a point system that you have to get so many points to get to the next level?
No, it's just a matter of winning. So you win at state level or regional level. So each category is different. So for bikini, you have to win top 2 in your height class.
Okay.
Unless you're doing masters, which all you have to do is walk on the stage and compete. So they make it a little easier for older people.
So wait a minute. Let me figure this out because I don't understand the class. So what is so masters is based on age versus time in or whatever?
So 35 and older could be masters. So you have open class, which would be 18 and up. Any age, as long as you're 18 of age, you can compete in an open class. And then they have the masters, which would be, they have different age categories. So it could start from 35 to 40, then 40 to 45, and then they'll go up in 5s.
Okay. So I noticed when I was looking at your pictures, you have a low body fat percentage. And the first question I wanted to ask you, but you say you had leukemia. I was like, how do you maintain in America that body fat percentage? Because all the food, I mean, it's hard. It's really difficult to eat healthy. And I try a lot to eat healthy, but sometimes you just can't find a healthy option. And with my lifestyle, because I travel so much, it can become really difficult. So how do you maintain your nutrition regime to keep on par with what you're trying to do as far as fitness?
It's just, I make easy choices. I'm not into having this huge, I like varieties of having different varieties of vegetables and things of that sort, but I'm not the type of person that I have to have a constant change in flavor. I like my food very plain and simple. So I keep my meals simple. So I'll have say asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. I just keep everything real simple with some protein. So I'm not the type of person that I have to have a constant change in food. So that works best for me.
Okay. And also, and this is one of the biggest questions I was wondering, because I've had female friends in my life who have shed a lot of body weight or body fat, and it changed a lot of their functionality, especially in reproduction. Because I had one friend when she really got into fitness, and I asked her, I was like, are your periods regular? And she was like, no, they stopped. I was like, and she was like 26. She was like, yeah, they just stopped. How did you know?
That's crazy. That happens. It's never happened to me, fortunately, but I hear a lot of women saying when their body fat gets too low, it will stop their periods.
So also with that, are there any issues of making sure that you get enough nutrients when you're working out, especially when you're trying to cut? If you're trying to cut so that you can show your definition and stuff like that, do you have problems absorbing nutrients during this time, or do you have to have a regime around that?
Well, I train, let me back up. I did a test. I don't know if you ever heard of it, the blood test Habit.
Yeah. I haven't.
It's no longer around. I did it 2 years ago, and it tests your blood for your how you absorb nutrients and how your body like my body needs very little protein to survive compared to some people. So my body does better on higher carbs.
Okay.
For me, if I completely cut carbs out of my body don't look right. Like it doesn't function right. So that was a really helpful tool, but I learned that I don't absorb the omega-3s and omega-6s properly. So that was something that I need to make sure I maintain and keep up with my diet, especially I think when my diet gets stricter, if I'm having a hard time absorbing that and vitamin D, this blood test said. So I'm more aware of making sure I get enough of that in my body.
Yeah.
But I try to, either way, I make sure I'm like, my downfall the first time I competed when I was younger is I just ate eggs, chicken, green beans, and sweet potatoes. It's all I ate for about 3 years straight.
What?
And I look back now, what in the world was wrong with me? I didn't get any variety of nutrients. What was I doing to my body? So I put my health first. Yeah. So if it means that I'm going to compete and I have to completely strip away all these vital nutrients from my body, I won't do it. Like I refuse to put my health behind like looking good.
Okay. So does it manifest in your joints? Because I know sometimes when I'm working out and if I'm not eating right, it doesn't manifest in the muscles so much as the connective tissue, like my knees, my ankles, my hips, my shoulder joints, they all feel really achy and weird. Do you have similar situations too? Or have you gone through those when you're trying to get to a certain level?
I have a lot of aches and pains. My knees hurt a lot, and I contribute to that, to just weight training and working out for all those years. I was so hard on my body where I wouldn't take rest days. I just I did 2 hours of cardio. Like I was a total crazy person, like obsessed with working out. So I really did a lot of damage to my joints and stuff. And now if my joints hurt, like I listen to my body and I say, back up, rest. I massage, I'll do like the Epsom salt baths. I, do deep tissue massage myself to help get my muscles, the lactic acid out of my muscles and help repair them quicker. I'm just more careful when I train now.
So what does your typical workout consist of? So before you're really focusing in on a competition and when you're just trying to maintain, is that two different levels or are they pretty much the same?
It's two different levels. As I get closer to the show, like I've only done 2 shows this year. So it's kind of getting my feet wet again and getting seeing how my body would respond to dieting and eating. But as I get closer to the show, I will make my training a lot more intense, where it's going to be more about leaning out and trimming down hips and thighs and things of that sort. Whereas if I'm like 18 weeks out, I'm definitely not doing as much cardio. I'm lifting a lot heavier and that way. So 4 weeks out, I just might be doing high intensity weight training with so it's more fat burning.
Okay.
If I don't even know if it would be fat burning, just a higher calorie intake. Not higher calorie, but a higher burning.
So, yeah. And you said earlier that you were diagnosed with leukemia, and that affects how your immune system as well. What's the status of your leukemia at this current moment?
At this current moment, I am in a clinical trial for the leukemia, and it's a first in human clinical trial. And I am finally, after all these years, this is the one drug that put me in a complete remission. So
So
I'd
with
be,
that, did you have to, before you got to this state, did you have to be careful about how you progress forward, related to that?
um, I let me think here for a minute. Always careful at this point with how bad I push my body or how hard I push my body. So I think having the leukemia really makes me, like, if I'm feeling tired or I'm having the fatigue, I suffer from severe fatigue from the medications and the leukemia. So if I'm tired, I say, am I tired from the leukemia or am I overtraining? So I take time. Like, I will sleep. If I have to sleep 10, 12 hours, I will do so if my body's telling me to do it. I won't go in the gym and train myself for that particular reason, because the leukemia, it does take me longer to heal because my body's just in a constant state of healing. My body's constantly fighting off the leukemia. So it's like I'm well aware of listening to my body more so than I ever was.
So there's different modalities of training. Like I moved from like doing 3 reps of 10 for everything to doing a 5x5. And 5x5 makes me a lot stronger. I don't get as big and puffy, and I don't look more as like Bane like I used to. I just kind of look more like Batman.
Oh,
um,
that
so what do you use when you're working out? Do you work out to fatigue for tearing the muscles and muscle growth, or are you just trying to maintain a certain look with, or more of a strength thing? What's your modality for to get the results that you need for competition?
if to get to the level that I desire to get to, I'm going to have to train I'm going to have to break down my muscles and get them to grow. So it's really just training them past the fatigue, getting to the pain where I say, oh my gosh, like, this is it. Like, my muscle, like, I can't, like, I'm going to fall to the ground and not be able to get back up because of how hard I have to pretty much train them. Like, my shoulders are my weak points and my glutes are. So to be able to push past that fatigue and tear that muscle and get it to grow is really important for my goals.
So is it a constant weight incrementation as you're working out? So week over week, are you progressing in weights? Or are you doing a reverse pyramid? Or so what's your favorite that's your go-to?
Well, for sure, I learned a technique that I have Arnold's Bible of working out, and in order to get muscles to grow, like his shoulders, he would train his shoulders like side lateral raises 3 times a day to failure, and that's what got them to grow, to get the roundness. So I was using that technique on my shoulders for about 2 months, and I would take 1 rest day. So I would do like side laterals to failure. I would go down the pyramid. I'd start with 12 pounds and work down to 5 pounds till I couldn't raise the 5 pounds. And I did that every day for about 2 months. And I did see the growth in my shoulders. Now, at this point, I'm just going to do the basic weight training, like lifting heavier and less reps, because I really want to build a little more to my shoulders. And as I get closer to the show I want to do, I'll start, I'll change my techniques about every 4 weeks. So closer to the show, I'll start doing, just burning out the muscle and trying to get the cut, like the side lateral cut that I would need between the back of the rear delt, front delt, and side delts. So the technique will change constantly.
So what would you, if someone was thinking about getting into, like, they look at your pictures and they go, she looks fabulous, I can do that, because there's a movement, particularly for women who are into transforming their bodies. In America, our food sucks. We're not trained on nutrition in school. So we think, when you're 1920 through like 25, 26, you kind of maintain this natural physique that's, you could eat anything and it probably sheds off with, little effort. But then as you get over that age, or you have a family and now the dynamics change, it's harder to shed that. So what would you say to women and men who are inspired and say, I need to make a change in my life. I need to work on my physique. What advice would you give them?
I say take baby steps. I say be realistic about what your goals are. Like these commercials, lose 20 pounds in a month. That's insanity. And don't think about the weight. Like when I'm trying to lose weight, I never say like, I need to lose 10 pounds. I say, I need to be healthier. I need to incorporate healthier foods into my diet. So, am I drinking enough water? So I suggest to people, look at things simple. Are you getting enough water? Make sure you drink enough water because hydration is the key. It keeps you, it keeps you feeling full. It's good for your muscles. It's good for your cells. It's good for your metabolism. I tell people focus on your fiber. Are you getting enough fiber in your diet? Because if you're not, you're going to want to eat things to keep you full. So just little tiny things like that about nutrients. I try to tell people focus on the nutrients factor. Don't focus on how much the scale says, because we all know muscle weighs more than fat. And the composition of, I weigh 110 pounds and somebody else might weigh 110 pounds and we're going to look totally different.
Yep. So
I always just say, keep it simple, do small steps, and don't ever think of it like it's punishment. Like this is a good thing. Is a good thing for your body. So to me, I never reward myself like, I'm going to eat good and I'm going to give myself a reward. The reward is I'm eating healthy and I'm taking care of myself, which makes me a better person for the people who love me, for the people I love, for society. So I tell people to think of it in positive aspects like that, not like it's a punishment and it's something you have to do. It's something you should want to do for yourself.
Okay. With that, you said something about vitamin D earlier, because I take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day simply because I'm an African-American. I'm living on a non-equatorial plane and I have clothes on for the most part.
Right.
Most of the time. So I don't get enough sun because the melanin in my skin converts it to vitamin D. What benefits did you find out that you saw a shift when you started taking vitamin D?
My energy level, I take about 8,000 of vitamin D a day. I noticed my energy level has risen some. I take that, and I take about 6,000 of the vitamin C with B12s, which benefits myself. And then I juice vegetables as well. But also, I don't really get sick. Like being that I have a compromised immune system, I rarely ever get a cold. I rarely ever get sick. I have sinuses just because I think, my body changed. But with the vitamin D, I feel my energy level is more in my moods.
I can attest to that one because I haven't had a cold in about 5-6 years since I started taking vitamin D and B12. I mean, literally, I've been in the infection zone with people who are just coughing and hacking. And I'm like, and I'm thinking I'm going to get a cold. And it didn't dawn on me till like for a while. And I was like, wait a minute, I haven't been sick. And so like, I'll get a little sniffles, but it'll be gone in 2 days. While everybody else is done.
Yeah, and everybody else is like super sick. And I'm like, wait a minute, why am I not really sick like everybody else? And, I take I juice garlic, I'll juice ginger. I really try to keep that nutrients as high as possible.
So I have to ask you this. When you juice garlic, because garlic comes out in your pores. Do you sweat garlic?
No, I don't, but I will burp. Garlic makes me burp. So that's not always pleasant. But yeah, so it's kind of funny that, but no, I do not. I personally don't smell it coming out of my pores, but I don't know what other people do.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that because I have garlic, but I just know, I used to be a cook, and I remember when I would just I would work with garlic. And what I mean by work with garlic, it would be in my hands. It would literally be in my fingertips. So I would be asleep at night. And you know how your hand goes by your nose, and it would literally wake me up and I can just imagine if I eat raw garlic and how that would manifest in my body. And I didn't want to subjugate people to that, but that's neither here nor there. But you know what? I really wanted to thank you so much, because you're such, when I reconnected with you, I actually thank God that I have had access to you in my life. And you're such a blessing and an inspiration as I continue to watch your page and watch you develop. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you. That's an honor. I always thought highly of you. And I think it's great that we reconnected. You are a fun part of my past.
Thank you. So what's coming up in the light of COVID? What are competitions like, or even working out? Because I just recently started going back to Planet Fitness, and I was freaked out because I remember the first day I drove up, it was packed. I live in Indiana, and I live in a very small town, so it doesn't have the impact of COVID that the rest of the nation has. But I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna go in there and touch everything and do all that stuff. And so, it was just weird. And so what does that happen with you?
So here in Michigan, like, let's see, I go to Crunch Fitness now because I found out that during COVID that the gym owner of the one in Taylor was staying open. So I was like, I want to do the show in July. So I need to really get into a gym because I was just kind of working out with what I had at home. So yeah, it was kind of very packed. The gyms were very packed. It was hard to get on any equipment, wearing the mask, working out was extremely hard, trying to breathe properly. And just wiping everything. I wear gloves. I've always wore gloves when I worked out. So I felt a little more secure because my hands were not touching so much. So then it was easy. I could take my gloves home and wash them in the washing machine. So I tried not to touch anything. And that's just kind of how I always was anyways. Like, I don't really touch my skin on any of the equipment. I'll always have like a sweatshirt or a hoodie. So the only thing that I will use to touch anything would be the palms of my hands. Okay. So the rest of my body, I won't touch any of the equipment.
So where can people find out about the competitions, and where can they find out about you if they want to see what you're up to?
Well, the competitions, there's, depending on your state, each state would probably have their own website. Like Michigan has like the Michigan MPC. Or you could go directly to mpcnews.com. And there's other organizations that people can compete in as well, but I tend to prefer the MPC because every show that I've done has always been, I feel like, judged fairly, always really friendly backstage. The promoters are always really good. So it's always been enjoyable to compete with the MPC. And then I just have Lolly Marie 27 on Instagram. That it's the only social media site that I'm on. Twitter I'm on, but I don't really post anything on there.
Well, awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle and agreeing to the interview.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you invited me. It was an honor, and I don't know how well I did. I'm a little nervous.
It's all good. So we're going to close out the show, ladies and gentlemen. You remember what I tell you every time: you are a precious entity. You are a billionaire. People always ask me, what's your show about, Emmett? The Billionaire Lifestyle. I don't have $1 billion. And I go, stop. Money is a new construct in our time span of history. You should work on the real value, and the value is you. Because 30 days after your parents had their little dance, and he gave something to her. And what happens is when you have a woman in your life, if you give her stuff, she will make something of it. And when a man gives of himself, he makes another human. And 30 days after that inception, you were over 1 billion cells and you hadn't even hit the planet yet. So I want you to understand your true value in this life. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about life. It's about you. It's about the things that affect you. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to really own yourself. So the next time you're going to get in the shower, whether it be morning or night, when you get out the shower, don't put the towel on. Walk up to the mirror butt naked, and I want you to look at yourself and revel in the fact that you are a miracle, and treat yourself as a miracle. And when you see another person that kind of has the features of you, like eyes, ears, and nose, treat them with love, honor, and respect. So next time, love you all. Peace.